Welcome back. Today we're counting down the top 9 most valuable US Roosevelt 1 dime that, even in different condition, are still worth big bucks. Let's get started. First up, the 1996 Roosevelt 1 dime with P mint mark. If you're curious about its worth in today's auction market, be especially in a unique condition, stay tuned. The Roosevelt dime, introduced in 1946, honors President Franklin D. Roosevelt. The 1996 version features the iconic profile of Roosevelt on the obverse, while the reverse showcases a torch flanked by an olive branch and a sprig of oak, symbolizing liberty and peace. Now let's talk specifics. The 1996 dime is notable for its P mint mark, indicating it was minted in Philadelphia. This particular coin is composed of 91.67% copper and 8.33% nickel, giving it a distinct silvery appearance. The weight is 2.5 grams and its diameter is 17.91 millimeters. But what really sets this coin apart today is its condition. In our focus today, we're examining a 1996 Roosevelt dime in a color-changed, dirty, and damaged condition. Coins in such a state might be less appealing to traditional collectors, but they can still attract interest for various reasons. Let's break down what we mean by color-changed and damaged. A color change often occurs due to environmental factors, such as exposure to moisture or chemicals, which can alter the surface appearance of the coin. In our case, this dime has developed a tarnished look that can be either intriguing or off-putting depending on the collector's perspective. Now, regarding its market value as of today, a 1996 Roosevelt dime with P mint mark in poor condition, like the one we're discussing, typically falls in the lower range of collectible dimes. Despite its damaged state, auction prices can vary. In today's market, you might find such a coin listed anywhere from $56,000, depending on the auction site and the level of interest from bidders. One common question that arises with coins in damaged condition is whether to clean them. I advise against it. Cleaning can significantly reduce a coin's value because it often leaves scratches or other marks. The best approach is to leave the coin as it is and let collectors decide its value based on its current state. As a collector, always remember that rarity, demand, and condition play vital roles in determining a coin's value. While a 1996 Roosevelt dime in color-changed, damaged condition may not fetch a high price, it still holds its unique charm and historical relevance. Next up, the 1976 Roosevelt dime without a mint mark, particularly in its dirty condition. You may be wondering what makes this dime so valuable. Well, let's uncover the details together. The Roosevelt dime was first minted in 1946, honoring President Franklin D. Roosevelt, who passed away in 1945. The 1976 version is particularly interesting because it was struck during a year of great American history, the bicentennial celebration of the United States. However, unlike some of its more sought-after counterparts, the 1976 dime does not carry a mint mark, which indicates that it was produced in Philadelphia. Let's take a closer look at the design. The obverse features a profile of Roosevelt, while the reverse displays a torch, olive branch, and oak branch, symbolizing liberty, peace, and strength. The quality of these features can greatly affect the coin's value, especially when it comes to the condition. Now, when we talk about dirty condition, we're referring to coins that may show signs of wear, tarnish, or other surface imperfections. Although it may seem counterintuitive, even dirty coins can hold value, especially when they are part of a popular series like the Roosevelt dime. Many collectors seek out coins in all conditions, and those in less than perfect shape can sometimes be quite rare. So, how much is a 1976 Roosevelt dime without a mint mark worth in today's auction market? In general, the value of a Roosevelt dime in dirty condition typically ranges from $53,000. However, several factors can influence this price. If you have a 1976 Roosevelt dime without a mint mark in your collection and you're considering selling, platforms like eBay, heritage auctions, and local coin shops are great places to start. Just remember to do your research to determine the best selling strategy based on current market conditions. In conclusion, the 1976 Roosevelt dime without a mint mark may not seem like much at first glance, especially in dirty condition. However, it can still hold significant value in the right context. Whether you're a seasoned collector or just starting out, it's essential to understand that every coin tells a story and has its unique place in numismatic history. Next up, the 1992 D Roosevelt dime. This coin might look ordinary at first glance, but its value in today's auction market might surprise you. So, let's explore its history, significance, and current market value. First, let's take a quick look at the history behind the Roosevelt dime. Minted since 1946, the Roosevelt dime was designed by famed engraver John R. Sinnock. It was created to honor President Franklin D. Roosevelt, who passed away in 1945. The coin features a profile of Roosevelt on the obverse and a torch, olive branch, and oak branch on the reverse, symbolizing liberty, thank goodness, peace, and strength. President Roosevelt was not only the 32nd President of the United States, but also a significant figure in American history, leading the nation through the Great Depression and World War II. The Roosevelt dime has been a staple in American coinage for decades and continues to be relevant in the numismatic community. Now, let's talk about the 1992 D Roosevelt dime specifically. The D Mint mark indicates that this coin was produced at the Denver Mint. In 1992, the U.S. Mint produced approximately 334 million dimes, making it a relatively common year for this coin. However, the true value of a coin often lies not just in its mintage, but in its condition and rarity. The term fine condition in numismatics refers to a coin that has visible wear but retains its basic design features. On a fine condition 1992 D Roosevelt dime, you'll see some details in the hair and face of Roosevelt, as well as the design elements on the reverse side, but they will be slightly worn. These coins are typically not as appealing to collectors as those in better condition, but they still hold value. So, how much is the 1992 D Roosevelt dime worth in today's auction market currently, in fine condition? This coin typically sells for around $93,000, however the value can fluctuate depending on market demand and the specific circumstances of the auction. If the coin is part of a special collection or has unique attributes, such as toning or specific marks, it could fetch a higher price. In conclusion, while the 1992 D Roosevelt dime may not be the most valuable coin out there, it certainly has its place in the hearts of collectors. Understanding its history, condition, and current market value can help you make informed decisions about buying or selling these coins. Next up, the 1967 Roosevelt dime without a mint mark, and specifically, what it's worth in bad condition. So how valuable is it? Let's find out. First, let's take a brief look at the history of the Roosevelt dime. This coin was introduced in 1946, right after the death of President Franklin D. Roosevelt, as a way to honor his legacy, especially his involvement with the March of Dimes campaign to combat polio. The Roosevelt dime has since become a standard part of U.S. coinage. But what makes the 1967 Roosevelt dime particularly interesting? Well, one thing to note is that during this period the U.S. Mint was facing a severe coin shortage. As a result, they decided to omit mint marks from all dimes, quarters, and half dollars produced from 1965 to 1967. So if you have a 1967 dime without a mint mark, don't worry, it's not an error but part of the standard production of that time. The design of the 1967 Roosevelt dime is simple yet iconic. On the obverse, we have a profile of President Roosevelt facing left. On the reverse, there's a torch in the center flanked by an olive branch on the left and an oak branch on the right, symbolizing liberty, peace, and strength. As for the materials, this dime is made of a copper nickel-clad composition, no silver here, unlike earlier dimes produced before 1965. It weighs about 2.27 grams and has a diameter of 17.91 millimeters. Now, when it comes to determining the value of any coin, the condition is key coins are graded on a scale from poor to mint state MS70. A coin in bad condition typically falls in the poor to fair range. In this state, the coin shows heavy wear and tear, and many of the design details are worn away. It might be scratched, discolored, or damaged in other ways. So how much is a 1967 Roosevelt dime without a mint mark worth in bad condition because it's made from base metals and not silver? Its intrinsic metal value is quite low, typically just a few cents, based on the copper and nickel content. However, in the coin collecting world, even bad condition coins can still have some market value, especially if they have historical significance or collectors are looking for certain dates. As of today's market, if you have a 1967 Roosevelt dime in bad condition, you can expect to sell it for anywhere between $29,000 to around. If you're lucky, a buyer might pay slightly more, but generally because it's a common coin and not made of silver, the value stays low. In better conditions such as fine or extra fine, the coin could fetch closer to its face value or slightly higher at around $1. However, one thing that could raise the value of your 1967 Roosevelt dime is if it has any unique errors. While minting errors were less common in this period, they can occur. Some known errors on Roosevelt dimes include off-center strikes, double dies, or clash dies. These types of errors can make even a common dime much more valuable. For example, certain error coins from 1967 have sold at auctions for $40,000 depending on the rarity and severity of the error. So it's always worth carefully inspecting your coin under a magnifying glass to see if you have any unique characteristics. In conclusion, while the 1967 Roosevelt dime without a mint mark in bad condition may not be the most valuable coin out there, it's still a piece of American history for most collectors. It's a simple and affordable way to own a part of the past if you happen to find one in better condition or with an error. You could be looking at a higher price, so always check your coins carefully. Next up, the 1968 Roosevelt 1 dime without a mint mark. In this video, we'll explore what makes this coin special, its historical context, and how much it's worth in today's auction market. So let's get started. The Roosevelt dime was introduced in 1946 to honor President Franklin D. Roosevelt following his death in 1945, designed by the famous engraver John R. Sinnock. This dime features a profile of Roosevelt on the obverse and a torch, olive branch, and oak branch on the reverse, symbolizing freedom and peace. The coin we're focusing on today, the 1968 Roosevelt dime, was struck during a time when the United States was facing significant changes both politically and economically. This particular coin was minted in Philadelphia, which means it has no mint mark. To determine a coin's value, it's crucial to assess its condition. The 1968 Roosevelt dime can range in value based on its grade. The grading system goes from poor to perfect uncirculated MS70. The condition we're focusing on today is fine. In fine condition, the details of the coin are still visible, but there may be signs of wear and circulation. In fine condition, you can see some wear on Roosevelt's hair and the detail on the torch, but the overall design remains recognizable and intact. Collectors look for these characteristics when evaluating a coin. Now let's talk about the money. The value of the 1968 Roosevelt dime without a mint mark has seen some fluctuations in the market. As of today, in fine condition, this dime is valued at approximately $44,000 in auctions. While it may not seem like much, it's essential to remember that many modern dimes are worth only face value. On platforms like eBay and Heritage Auctions, you can find listings for this coin within that price range. However, certain factors can influence the final selling price, such as demand and the specific characteristics of the coin itself. In conclusion, the 1968 Roosevelt 1 dime without a mint mark, while not the most valuable coin, holds its place as an interesting collectible. With a current auction value of $57,000 in fine condition, it's a great addition for both novice and experienced collectors. Next up, the 1975 Roosevelt dime without a mint mark. If you've ever come across one of these shiny dimes, you might be wondering, is it worth anything? Well, stay tuned as we uncover its value in today's auction market. First, let's talk about the Roosevelt dime itself. This coin was first issued in 1946 honoring President Franklin D. Roosevelt after his passing. Designed by the famous sculptor John R. Sinnock, it features a portrait of Roosevelt on the obverse and an olive branch representing peace on the reverse. The 1975 Roosevelt dime, like other dimes produced during this era, was primarily made of copper and nickel. This particular dime does not have a mint mark, which indicates that it was struck at the Philadelphia Mint. It's essential to note that the presence or absence of a mint mark can significantly impact a coin's value. Now, let's discuss the condition of the coin. You mentioned that we're focusing on the fine condition. Coins in fine condition will typically show moderate wear, but the main details should still be visible. In the case of the 1975 Roosevelt dime, this means that Roosevelt's features are clear, though perhaps a bit softened, and the lettering is still legible. So how much is the 1975 Roosevelt dime worth today? Well, in fine condition, you can expect it to fetch anywhere from at auction. While this may not sound like a fortune, it's important to remember that not every coin from this era holds significant value. The demand among collectors and the overall rarity of certain coins can greatly influence market prices. Several factors can affect the value of the 1975 Roosevelt dime. For instance, coins that have been well preserved or have unique characteristics may command higher prices. Additionally, the coin's provenance, its history of ownership, can also add to its value. If you happen to own a 1975 dime in excellent condition or with an interesting backstory, you might be looking at a much higher auction price. When compared to other years of Roosevelt dimes, the 1975 version without a mint mark is not the most valuable. For example, the 1955 Roosevelt dime with a mint mark can be worth significantly more, sometimes reaching upwards of $93,000 or even more in fine condition. However, the 1975 dime is still a great coin for collectors, especially those focusing on the series or seeking to complete their collections. In conclusion, while the 1975 Roosevelt dime without a mint mark may not break the bank, it's certainly a piece of American history that can be enjoyed by collectors, whether you're just starting your coin collection or you're a seasoned numismatist. This dime is a valuable addition to your set. Next up, the 1979 Roosevelt dime with a D mint mark. If you're a collector or just curious about the value of your coins, stay tuned as we explore what makes this particular dime so special and how much it's worth in today's auction market. The Roosevelt dime was first minted in 1946, created to honor President Franklin D. Roosevelt after his passing. Designed by John R. Sin Nock, the obverse features a profile of Roosevelt, while the reverse showcases a torch, olive branch, and oak branch, symbolizing liberty, peace, and strength. Over the years, several versions of the dime have been produced, but today we are specifically looking at the 1979 issue, which was struck in both Philadelphia and Denver, marked by their respective mint marks, the absence of a mint mark for Philadelphia and D for Denver. In 1979, the Denver Mint produced approximately 300 million Roosevelt dimes, making it a common coin in circulation. However, not all 1979 dimes are created equal. The value of a coin depends heavily on its condition and rarity. A dime in fine condition typically shows some wear but retains much of its detail. In contrast, coins in uncirculated condition can command significantly higher prices. A fine condition dime will exhibit wear on the highest points of the design, but the details remain recognizable. This dime may not have the same level of detail as an uncirculated version, but it still holds substantial value for collectors. So how much is the 1979 Roosevelt dime with a D mint mark worth today? In the current auction market, a 1979 D dime in fine condition typically ranges from $65,000. This price can fluctuate based on the demand from collectors and the specific auction setting. Some recent auction results have shown that well-preserved specimens can fetch up to $70,000 or more, especially if they are part of a larger collection or come with original packaging. However, it's essential to consider that the condition, the auction platform, and the bidding environment can significantly affect the final selling price. If you think you might have a 1979 D dime or other valuable coins in your collection, here are some tips for identification and preservation. First, always handle your coins by their edges to avoid fingerprints and store them in a cool, dry place, preferably in a coin holder or capsule, to prevent scratches and damage. Next up, the 1977 Roosevelt dime with D mint mark in good condition. This little coin might not seem like much at first glance, but it's worth your attention, so stick around as we explore its history, features, and current market value. First, let's talk about the history of the Roosevelt dime. The Roosevelt dime was introduced in 1946, honoring President Franklin D. Roosevelt following his death. Designed by the famed engraver John R. Sin Nock, the coin features a left-facing profile of Roosevelt on the obverse and an olive branch, a torch, and an oak branch on the reverse, symbolizing peace and strength. In 1977, the mint produced over 212 million dimes, which is a significant number, but only a fraction of these dimes are truly valuable to collectors today. The D mint mark indicates that this particular dime was minted in Denver, and this specific minting location adds to its collectability. Now, let's discuss the features that make the 1977 Roosevelt dime distinctive. The coin has a diameter of 17.91 mm and a weight of 2.5 grams. It is made of 91.67% copper and 8.333% nickel, giving it that classic silver-like appearance. In good condition, the dime will show some wear, but the details of Roosevelt's profile should still be recognizable. The letters and the design elements may be slightly worn, but they should not be completely faded. Remember, the condition of the coin significantly affects its value, so keep an eye out for the specifics. Now, let's get to the exciting part: the value. As of today, the 1977 Roosevelt dime with a D mint mark in good condition can fetch anywhere from $80,000 in today's auction market. While that might not sound like a fortune, keep in mind that the value can vary based on factors like the demand among collectors, the condition of the coin, and the market trends. If you own a 1977 Roosevelt dime and are thinking of selling it, here are a few tips. First, consider getting your coin graded by a professional grading service. This will give potential buyers confidence in its condition and value. Additionally, keep your coin in a protective holder to prevent further wear and damage. Next up, the 1974 US Roosevelt dime without a mint mark. Let's find out why this coin is considered valuable, even in bad condition, and how much it's worth in today's auction market. The Roosevelt dime was introduced in 1946, featuring the profile of President Franklin D. Roosevelt on the obverse and a torch, olive branch, and oak branch on the reverse. The 1974 issue is especially intriguing for collectors, primarily due to its minting history and rarity. First, let's talk about the minting details. The 1974 Roosevelt dime was minted in Philadelphia, which is why it doesn't have a mint mark. It's part of a series that continue to be produced every year, but factors such as production volume and collector interest influence its value. In 1974, about 201 million dimes were struck, making it relatively common compared to other years. However, this particular dime's value can vary widely depending on its condition. So, what is the market value of a 1974 Roosevelt dime without a mint mark in bad condition, while most common dimes like this are typically valued at face value, or $55,000? Certain rare varieties or coins that exhibit unique characteristics can be worth more, even in poor condition. As of today's auction market, a 1974 Roosevelt dime in bad condition can sell for about $60,000, depending on factors like the extent of wear and any unique marks or characteristics. It may seem minimal, but when you consider the amount of bad condition coins available, this can add up for a collector. Now, let's discuss market demand. The value of coins can fluctuate based on collector interest. For example, if a particular collector or group of collectors is looking for dimes from specific years or those without mint marks, this can drive up prices even for lower quality coins. Therefore, if you're holding onto a 1974 Roosevelt dime, it might be worth checking auction platforms or local coin shops to see what offers are out there. To sum it up, while the 1974 Roosevelt dime without a mint mark may not be the rarest coin in the world, its value in bad condition is a reflection of market demand and collector interest. If you have one, you might be surprised at how much it can fetch in today's auction market. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up, subscribe, and hit that notification bell for more exciting content on coins and collectibles. Let us know in the comments if you have any questions, or if there's a specific coin you'd like us to cover next. Until next time, happy collecting.